I've put Harvard in NCAA football, and I'll be rebuilding them until we win a championship. This team comes in at a 50 overall, and nobody on this current roster is very impressive, but what makes this rebuild so hard is Harvard is an academic-focused university, so since a lot of the highest-rated recruits don't have a high enough GPA, I can only go after players that are interested in coming here. I can also only play 3 regular season games a year, and if I fail to complete even just one of these challenges by the end of the video, I have to give away a jersey to a random commenter. It's probably going to take us a while to get good at the FBS level, as we just lost to Penn State by 70, and we're not in a conference, which doesn't really help because the schedule of teams we have to face this year is not going to be easy. As you can imagine, we're going to pretty much need every position group, and I found a lot of prospects that have a high enough GPA, so I'm hoping we're able to land them, but I'm going to focus on this one, and that's because the 6'5" quarterback could be our future. For the next 2 seasons, though, we have Charles DePrima at the helm, and against Sacred Heart, we're going to go out and only lose by double our score. I'm not sure if there's really any point in showing result by result during this season, because obviously we're just going to struggle against everybody, but since I'm scheduling everybody for a visit against James Madison, I would like to see how we do in this game, and it looks like it's raining really hard. Maybe that can help us squeeze out a victory, as we could control the clock, and since James Madison is a really solid school, I am very content with this being the score going into the half. We should have even had an interception there, but what's really important is how we finish off this drive. I just went with a little bit of play action, and we're going to miss the throw, so I need our players to use their brains to find the open space in the defense, and we didn't have time. We might not win a game at the FBS level for a while, but all I can do is ask for a chance, and that's a first down. Getting a result here could be so important since most of the recruits are visiting for this week, and that's going to be picked by Jackson, and after that interception, we just couldn't stay in the game, as we are going to lose to James Madison. I have a feeling this is going to be a long rebuild, but after we got our backs blown out by USC, all of these prospects realized how easy it would be to get playing time at Harvard, and that includes quarterback Marcus Gutierrez. However, I just found Patrick Bailey, and he's a 71 overall, and there were a couple of prospects I missed on during the first round of scouting. We even lost to the Citadel by 39, and nearing the end of the season, we were sitting at 0-9, so I figured it was probably best if we just sim to the end, and it might even end up being a while before we even win a game. Our starting quarterback only threw for 2 touchdowns, but Shane McLaughlin was a bright spot as he rushed for over 600 yards, and I don't even want to talk about how our receivers did. It's safe to say it could be a while before we complete any of these challenges, and getting fired over and over could make it take even longer. Each time it happens after restart as a head coach, and fortunately for us, we're not losing much talent this offseason, while also getting 2 transfers, with one being a 77 overall. Since we landed quarterback Patrick Bailey, if we can finish offseason recruiting strong, I'm going to be feeling a lot better, and it looks like we got 3 players we really wanted, which gives us the 62nd best class in the country. I understand that's not great, but I'm only able to recruit players that want to come to this school with a high GPA, and with these type of offseason results, maybe we can get a win in year number 2. I mean, there's definitely a few matchups I'm not looking forward to, but there are some winnable games, and we could actually start developing Patrick Bailey this season. To me, that seems like a no-brainer, so that's what we're going to do, and for this batch of recruits, it looks like we're going to have 106 different players that we can choose from. Considering I've scouted some higher overalls than last year, I'm excited to see if we can land any of them, and I know that we're not going to be great, but we did jump up 9 overalls, so at least we have a chance against James Madison, but we lost by 41. I've just kind of accepted that in these first few seasons, it isn't going to be pretty, and freshman Patrick Bailey is putting up worse stats than an Iowa quarterback, but we just need to trust the process and hope that I can continue to land high overall prospects to help him. I also believe we could take down a team like Nevada, so I'm hoping we can get it done on our home field, and I'm honestly just excited to use freshman Patrick Bailey because he is going to be the future of this program for a long time, and that is an amazing throw to Barkate, who is going to get away from the cornerback and go all the way down to the end zone. He's made it. Our defense would immediately give up a touchdown and is about to give up another 3, but what's important is we're competing, and on 3rd and 2, I'm going to hand it off to senior running back Shane McLaughlin, who's going to get the first plus a lot more. I genuinely believe this could be the first game we win. I might as well throw this up to Early Jones. It looks like he beat that cornerback. He mossed him as well, so he just embarrassed him on that play. And keep in mind that this guy is only a freshman. I hope that you all are as excited about this team as I am, and here on 3rd and goal, Bailey isn't going to get anywhere, so we're going to go into the half all tied up at 10. I'm thrilled with how we are playing, and with a minute remaining, we are only down by 7 points, so if we could somehow get down the field and tied up, we could go to overtime, but I don't think that's going to happen. Getting tackled in bounds a couple of times really hurt us, and on 4th and 15, we won't even get a throw out, which means we've come up just short, but there's a lot of positive takeaways we can have from this game. There's a good chance that we still win one of our remaining matchups, and Miami, Ohio hasn't won a game yet, so this could be it, but we just lost by 63. Maybe for the time being, I'll keep my focus on recruiting where we don't have a single commit yet, and with how bad some of these results are, I can't blame them. Through just 8 games, we've given up 434 points, so obviously I have almost no job security, but we just got our highest overall recruit ever in Jake Smith. The 75 overall from Florida also has a 4.2 3.34 GPA, and even if it takes us a while, I promise we're going to get our guys, but we are losing quite a few battles. Everybody's going to come on a visit versus Eastern Michigan, and we're just going to advance all the way to that one. This is our chance to not have back-to-back winless seasons, and midway through the third quarter, we're trailing by 9, but I'm hoping this could go to the end zone, and what was that throw? Patrick Bailey has a much stronger arm than that, so I'm not sure why he short-armed it so bad, but that's probably going to be the decider in this game. If the refs don't overturn this, we're going down by 16, and that was clearly a touchdown catch. Even Eastern Michigan's beating us, but one day in the future, we're going to take them down, and I know we landed a lot of low overall players, but trust me, we need anybody that we can get. As for Patrick Bailey, he was a step up from Charles DePrima, and this year we had multiple players get more than 250 receiving yards, but again, the focus of our offense was Shane McLaughlin, and it's just a shame how few touchdowns he scores. I'm just hoping that I don't get fired this next year, because it resets everything each time I have to recreate myself, and I'm sad to see somebody like Shane McLaughlin graduate, but the transfer portal has immediately gifted us with Kentrell Marks, and there's also a chance that during the offseason we'll get halfback Tommy Leach, which is exactly what happened. This class was rated a lot lower at 86, but it had better players like Brian Moss, Kenny Sims, and Jake Smith, and because we have almost nobody in our wide receiver room, I feel like halfback Isaiah Abbey would be a better fit over there. The most important thing is how our team progresses though, and even though our kicker went down 1 overall, I don't care because I'm seeing a lot of improvement. With New Mexico on the schedule, this has to be the year that we win a game, but it seems like the number of prospects that want to come here is starting to dwindle down, and that's a major problem considering there's almost nobody good to choose from this year. We're still projected to be one of the worst teams, so we need to be able to get talent, and even our academic prestige is somehow dropping. Obviously, I can't expect us to win our first game against Michigan State, but the fact that we only lost by 32 lets me know that we're starting to improve, and I feel like after this week against Temple, we might get our first win. We're playing against New Mexico where everybody's going to be visiting, and the Lobos are only 10 overalls better than us, so I'm honestly just hoping for the best, and our first drive is going very well so far. We're going to find Early Jones who goes down at the 2, and now we can just run it while pitching it last second, but it is fumbled on the ground to New Mexico, and you've got to be joking. That is not what you want to see in this position. Let's just say that ever since that moment, the offense has struggled, and I'm starting to wonder if anything is ever going to go our way. I have Early Jones deep on this route, but it's overthrown, and I guess we just need more time to develop. Now, it is a good thing that we're not in any recruiting battles this year because that bad visit week could have destroyed us, but to be honest, the players that we're going after aren't that impressive, and every single year we've played USC and gotten blown out. Against Army, though, I do have some hope, and that's because they're only a 72 overall, which means we should compete with them at home. I'm surprised that there's still people coming out to these games, and I would love if we could get a stop on 3rd and 1 where they pitch it to the outside and we just couldn't make a tackle. 26 is much more worried about his academics than actually playing football, and at the end of the first quarter, it is 7-0, but we've gotten a little bit of a drive going, and on that comeback route, Early Jones gets open. He's one of the only wide receivers that I can consistently rely on, and if this is cover 2, it's going immediately to Cooper Barcate, who's going to have to go up for it, but he comes down with the ball and he just sunned that guy. What a play. This might be one of the most ridiculous catches you've ever seen on this channel, and going into the 4th quarter, we're still up by 4, so if we're able to control the clock and finish off this possession with a touchdown, that might be enough to seal us our first win. They've gotten us to a 4th and 12 though, and we are going for it. We are being aggressive. That's a first. We probably should have just trusted our defense, but now that it paid off, I'm happy we did it, and this is another 3rd down that we must convert, but I know we can trust Barcade. Everything's going exactly how we needed to, and we just went with the fake fullback dive. Zahir Kirkwood isn't going to beat the edge, but he's going to fight to the end zone, and there is no way with 5 or 6 dudes on him at the 3-yard line he was able to make it across the goal line. This game has literally featured so many incredible plays, and the fact that he somehow hit the pylon is so clutch. God was clearly on our side today, and Harvard football is going to get their first win, and I just can't believe how many things went our way that could have definitely swung differently. It makes me so happy we finally got this result, and now that we've just had a tiny bit of success, all of the recruits we could ever want are starting to flow in. It does still seem like I'm going to get fired though, and there's not much more to play for this season, so I'm just going to sim to the end of the year, because it was pretty much a given that we were going to lose these remaining 5 matchups, but what surprises me the most is how bad Patrick Bailey was. Now, he did get injured, but he only threw for 2 touchdowns, and I'm not sure how Early Jones and Nick Armstrong still did okay. As for rushing, obviously Zahir Kirkwood had that major play, but besides that, we just haven't been good, so of course I've officially been fired for the 3rd time, and we're so far away from a championship. It's also really unfortunate that losing seniors this year is actually going to sting, and our quality of transfers has even gone down as only a 47 wants to come in. Even the quality of recruits that were interested in our school this year just wasn't great, as I'm not seeing any high overalls, so it's no surprise this class finished 68th in the country, and I feel like it's going to be a while before we even complete one of these challenges. Training training results did go better this year, so there is a positive, but we really need to win at least a few games this year, and I'm hoping this schedule makes that possible. Recruiting has also been rough for us recently, so I'm happy to see that we have 101 players to choose from, because even though technically we have no team needs according to these pages, we obviously do, and I just found a plus 10 gym in Sean Culver. The only issue is he's one of the only good players on the board that I really want to go after, and with these GPA requirements, it's so hard to rebuild Harvard. This is the highest overall we've ever been though, and I'd love to start this season with a win, so I'm playing this one against Air Force, and we have to score on our first drive of the season, so I'm hoping we can do that as I find Early Jones. He was marked just a bit short, but that's going to be alright, and if we can finish this one off, we're going to go up 14-0 on Air Force. It's really just been a defensive masterclass from us as we have locked up, and Moss is going to almost get the pick, but he didn't, and eventually it would be all tied up at 14, but we're going to score a touchdown here, and I thought we might choke our lead against Air Force, but we've started to play well, so we just need to continue to lock up, and here on 3rd and 10, everything is in a box as we're going to make the tackle, so they have no choice but to go for it on 4th down in this situation, and that's a sack. What a start to the year this is for Harvard, and Patrick Bailey as a junior is going to be special. He passed for more touchdowns in one game than he did all last season, and to be honest, I could actually see us winning at New Mexico, but they're going to double our score. To make matters worse, Army is 2-0, so I highly doubt we're going to go out and beat them, and even though we got the start to the season that we wanted, I think it's all going to go downhill. However, if Patrick Bailey didn't throw 3 interceptions, we might have beaten Charlotte, and I don't even want to mention recruiting because it looks like it's going to be a tough battle for our top 4 prospects. It absolutely stinks to lose out on a guard to Eastern Michigan, and I'm just going to schedule everybody else for a visit against Marshall. At this point, I've pretty much accepted that we're not going to have a great year, but we just can't seem to get it done when it matters, and even winless Louisiana Tech just beat us. Obviously, Notre Dame is also just going to have their way, but now I need to focus on landing Sean Culver because an 81 overall guard would be huge for us. All we have to do is take down Marshall during visit week, and to have a decent chance at doing that, it would be a big deal if we could keep it tied going into the half. I'm throwing this one up to Early Jones, who burnt that corner, and we are so close to tying it up at 14, but we need this play to go our way, and I just don't see anything open. With no timeouts remaining, that's going to take us to the half, and with about a minute remaining in the game, we're still down by possession, so I really wish we could have scored a touchdown there, but since Marshall is only up by 6, if we're able to do it now, we will be able to win with an extra point, and I'm really only looking in Early Jones' direction, but I see that Kenny Sims on the other side of the field has run right by that defensive back, so we're in a position now that if we could get in here, we are going to take a lead, and this would be a massive win during visit week. We just have to make sure that they don't get anywhere on this Hail Mary. I sent forth the quarterback. We generated no pressure, so we have to knock it down, and this is the first time we've ever won 2 games. That was also all it took to get 81 overall Sean Culver to commit, and normally I wouldn't focus on an offensive lineman, but he's insane. I'm also thrilled that I probably won't be fired this season, but with only a few remaining matchups, I'm just going to sim to the end of the year, and we put up 31 points on Florida State. With that in mind, we should be able to take down FCS school Northern Iowa, which we do, and I don't even care that we lost to Wake Forest, because we just went 3-9 at the FBS level, and Patrick Bailey had his best season yet, throwing for 2,000 yards. Transfer Kentrell Marks ended up being our leading rusher, and Early Jones' stats just keep getting better. This is also kind of crazy, but we only lost 1 senior, and it's Zahir Kirkwood, so this guy will forever be remembered for that touchdown one in our first win in this rebuild, and it looks like Daniel Horn is trying to escape the Iowa offense. I can't blame him, and to be honest, besides Sean Culver, there's not too many players on here I really want to take note of, because somehow that class was ranked 116th, and I have no clue what to expect going into this next year, but I think we're going to finally complete one of these 6 challenges, because our senior defensive tackle should end up getting drafted. As for our schedule going into year 5, this might be the first time we make a bowl game, and I'm honestly just hoping we finally have some talent interested in coming here again. I'm seeing a 68, a 71, and a 71 at the top. We need Dorian Wesley so bad because he became a 75 overall, and with Patrick Bailey graduating this year, I don't like any of our other 3 options, so I'm going all in on getting the quarterback from Michigan. I'm hoping he wants to come here even though we're not projected to have a good season, but at least we're up to a 79 overall, and within the next 4 seasons, the game believes that we're going to be about an average team. I was also able to find multiple other prospects that jumped in their overalls, so if we're somehow able to land all of these players, this would definitely be our best class yet. We just need to go out and win our first game against Northern Iowa, where we do by 24, and if Patrick Bailey can limit his turnovers, this is going to be a good season. On the road at Air Force, I am a little bit worried about this one, and we're going to lose, so I'm a little worried that just like last season, we're going to win our first game and then just go downhill, and that's why I'm going to schedule everybody to visit against Buffalo, where we should go out and beat them. I rarely feel this confident going into a game, but on paper, they're so much worse than us, which is a good thing. It seems like we're going to end our first drive with a touchdown as there's a wide open Kenny Sims, but with a little less than 2 minutes left left in the game, we're trailing by 3 points to the Bulls. Their defense has started to figure it out, and I'm going to have to pick up this first down. But what worries me is if we can't make a bowl game with this team, it is going to be a while until we do. I might as well throw it up to Early Jones, who's going to come down with the catch. And since he's a senior, I'm really going to miss him when he graduates. We are so close to scoring a touchdown to take the lead. We're going to get a few extra yards here with Marks. And on 3rd and 1, I'm going back to the run, and it is going to get the first. We have a freshman offensive lineman that's really good, and thankfully we were able to finally punch it in. This win needs to be enough to impress all of the recruits that came here for our visit week. This is going to be intercepted. That is it. And we're 2-2 4 games into the season. Thankfully, Dorian Wesley has committed to the program, but I have a feeling these next 2 matchups aren't going to go well, and we only lost to Notre Dame by 2. I guess that means we have a chance against West Virginia where we win by 7, and somehow our defense forced 4 interceptions on the Irish's quarterback while holding West Virginia's under 100 passing yards. So it's obvious that Alex Vanner-Sumarin's making a massive difference, and he's definitely going to get drafted into the NFL. I do feel like we should jump into this game against North Texas though, because after this week we play against USC, and I want to stay on pace to finally making a bowl game. With about 4 minutes left, we're down by 4, so I'm going for it on 4th and 5, which we're going to pick up. And on this one, there is somebody rushing up the middle already. At least it got picked up, but I'm just going to scramble with Patrick Bailey, and it looks like he's going to get about 20. It's kind of crazy, but he is now a senior, and I've rarely ever used his scrambling ability, but he's also not the quickest, and I just like to step up in the pocket instead. Even if we get in here, we're going to have to trust our defense to get a stop, but we've already gotten them to a 3rd and 10, and they're going with the 4 verticals, which is going to gash us up the middle. I'm starting to get a little bit worried that they're going to score ultra quick, and there is Fair going all the way to the end zone. So I have no idea how we did so well defensively against West Virginia and Notre Dame, but now we're in a position where we need to pick up this long 2nd and 20, and what a throw to Sims, who's going to swerve out of that cornerback. I cannot believe it. Kenny Sims is going to take this to the crib. What a play. That was so fluky, but it's exactly what we needed in this scenario. Now that we are just running terrible man coverage, North Texas is going to pick up 9 yards, because what is this? The only way I know how to describe it is terrible. Now they're going to take the drag underneath, and all we're trying to do is make sure that they can't go for a game-winning field goal, which they're not going to even get a chance to get off. We've now improved to 4 and 3, and I know that we're not going to go on the road and beat USC, but if things could go our way, we might be able to beat Hawaii because they're jet lagged, and we destroyed them. All of this winning is also making recruiting easier as multiple players have committed, and we're in some tight battles for Ike Jennings, John Everett, and Matt Morris. After advancing 1 more week, it looks like they're the only 3 players remaining on our recruiting board, and the game says that this class is a top 13 one, but it won't finish this high. We have 0 4 or 5-star recruits, and why do our remaining 3 matchups against smaller schools have to be against such good programs? All 3 of these teams are having amazing seasons, so it's going to be tough to win one, but all we can do is just cross our fingers and hope for the best, as that's another close result. What worries me is these guys are about to visit much bigger schools, so in order to stay on their radar, we need to somehow win this game. Army is 8-1 and hosting it, so we're going to have to go for it on downs like a 4th and 3 where no one's really open, but Jones is going to catch it. If we can't make a bowl game, this would be the final game the senior ever plays for us, and on a 3rd and 20, my best move is to just throw it up to him, and he got open. I'm not sure if it's going to matter too much since Army has scored 21 straight, but we're driving again, and it's just a shame that our offense has been this inconsistent, but at least I know I can trust our defense, and on 3rd and 7, there's no way Army's about to throw for a first down on us. Someone just get a tackle. This is a run-heavy team. We should not be struggling in these situations, and there's a fumble. Someone please pick it up. Smith gets it. Come on, please stand up. Let's go. This is going to go to the crib. 21 all. What a defensive stop. The only issue we're running into now is they've moved it down the field again, but when they get in these 3rd and 8 situations, we know they're going to try to pass it, and it's just not working. This has to be intercepted. Well, even if this goes in, we have given ourselves a chance, and I'm going to roll out on this play and look in the direction of Kenny Sims, who just created a ton of separation on Army's best corner, and he's going to juke both of them out to get even more yards. I can also assure you all, I am not going to go for a field goal to tie it up and play for overtime. I'm going for the touchdown. We have 4 downs to make it happen, and I'm going to go for it no matter what. So I might as well try a little option trickery, and they did not fall for it at all, but Kentrell Marks is still going to run it in. I didn't think it would be possible, but we're bowl eligible this season, and Patrick Bailey as a senior has made all of the difference. He had his best year yet, completing over 50% of his passes, and it's a bit surprising, but tight end Daryl Brantley was our leading receiver. Early Jones still had an amazing career for us, and I'm going to be sad to see Kentrell Marks graduate, but the same can be said for Alex Van Sumeren, who transferred transferred in, and his final game before he most likely gets drafted is against Clemson. This is not how all of the boys want to go out, but because Clemson has so much guaranteed NFL talent resting, we actually have a chance in this game. We're only down by 6 with about a minute remaining, but we're going to need a miraculous drive, and with no timeouts remaining, it is not looking good for us. We're going to have to just try to thread the needle, and of course it's intercepted. I'm very proud of this team for getting this far though, and all of our success has earned me a contract extension. Now we're losing a lot of talent, so obviously I'd expect for us to have a setback this next year, but I don't care because we actually had 2 players get drafted, and that finally knocks off the first challenge of this video. As for off-season recruiting, I feel like I can only target 2 players, and that worked out as we got both of them, but like I said earlier on, that class was not finishing in the top 30. I'm not sure how we're going to complete that one, as there's very few players that have a good enough GPA to get into Harvard, and middle linebacker Matt Morris actually becomes a 77 overall left end, so he's going there. Now recently we have been getting very lucky with training results, and I think the streak is going to continue as Daniel Horn jumped 9 overalls. Now it is disappointing to see that Kenny Sims regressed, but I'm just happy that Dorian Wesley has some decent targets around him to help him develop. Now for recruiting this year, I am hoping that the quality of prospects gets a little bit better since we are up to a 2-star school, but even though at the top of the class there seem to be a few better players, there just isn't that much depth. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but this is our schedule going into the year, and the addition of Dorian Wesley hasn't changed our future projections too much. We're a 75 overall team, which is worse than last season, and I'm not really excited for this recruiting class because we're going to have a tough battle for all the players we want, and I don't think we're going to get Chris Smith. I'm going to sim the first 3 games to give us an idea of how this year will go, and with a freshman at quarterback, I think these losses are expected. We beat Buffalo last year though, so I'm hoping for the best, and that's a nice win. It's going to take a while for Dorian Wesley to get better, but I'm going to see how good he really is against New Mexico, and pretty much every recruit is visiting for this one, so he's going to need to put on a show. I gotta say, my first impression of him is he looks like an absolute unit, and by the time he's a senior, I'm expecting him to develop a ton. We're going to thread the needle on 4th down though, and it's dropped. This one hit Maxey right in his hands, but he just couldn't bring it in, and I'm just glad that in the end that wouldn't make any difference as we're still going to win by a ton. New Mexico made our entire team look good, and I want to be happy that we got all of these prospects to commit, but the best one went to Michigan, and we're still in a recruiting battle for the only 4-star we've ever had a chance at. Realistically, I don't think we stand a chance against number 6 Navy, but we won by 4, and I don't know what that means because they've beaten both Memphis and Texas A&M. Now I'm feeling confident about simming these next few matchups, and we are going to crush Bowling Green, but our starting quarterback is not the freshman anymore. Dorian Wesley dislocated his elbow and he's out for 10 weeks, so senior Marcus Gutierrez took over and he's only a 74, but evidently he's also the reason that we beat Navy, and I know our odds are not good, but what if we pulled off an upset over USC or Notre Dame? We did come close to beating the Irish last year, and there's just no way. On the road, the senior quarterback went out and took down Notre Dame, and I just don't understand how this is even possible. We're still not close to being the best independent school, but if we beat Army, technically we would be, and in this matchup, we got blown out. I'd say that there's a lot of stuff this season that's gone our way, but we still need to make sure that we're able to land James Blair, and since our schedule somehow only has 11 games on it, we need to beat Marshall in order to make a bowl, and hopefully convince players to come here at the same time. I'm starting to wonder what would have happened if I would have played the senior quarterback throughout his career now that we've had such a good season with him, and you have to keep in mind that this team was supposed to regress. Instead, I think we've gotten even better, and I might as well throw it to Kenny Sims one last time because the senior has been a big part in getting this program to be in a decent position, and Marshall had a decent effort at coming back, but in the end, we're going to hold on to our lead. We're going bowling for the 2nd year in a row, and I still can't believe we got it done with a backup quarterback. It does seem like these 3 recruiting battles are going to go on to the off season, and obviously, I'm not expecting for us to go into the big house and get a win, but it turns out that Greg Walker would rather play for Central Michigan, and I wish we didn't keep getting difficult bowl matchups. At least Tommy Leach had a really good season running the ball, and once again, Darrell Brantley led the team in receiving yards, but after pulling off multiple big upsets, Marcus Gutierrez really regressed. I'm pretty sure he's one of the first quarterbacks I ever recruited though, and maybe he'll go out with a bang in the Tony the Tiger Bowl. Well, once again, I'm noticing that whenever we play these bigger schools at the end of the year, their best talent is resting that's on the NFL, and Daniel Horn just made a spectacular catch there. Anyways, because some of North Carolina's top guys haven't played, we have a chance in this game, but that sack is probably going to come back to bite us, and our senior tight end created 0 separation. On 4th and 21, I'm just going to throw it up to our best wide receiver, Daniel Horn, and he is going to go up and drop the ball. We're going to fall just short in a bowl again, but I'm still happy with how we're progressing as a program, and it stinks that we're going to lose all of these seniors, including Darrell Brantley, who was an amazing receiver for us, but I do feel like we're starting to do a bit better in recruiting, and better players with high GPAs are starting to want to come here. to be honest, I would say ignore this 88th best recruiting class ranking because we got every single player that we wanted and I'm happy with it. And I didn't think junior JUCO Jeff Bailey was going to be that good, but he becomes a 78 wide receiver. Also, 6'4 wide receiver Daniel Carroll actually becomes a 77 halfback, and thank goodness everybody progressed the way that they needed to this offseason. Dorian Wesley's up to an 80 overall, and I really want this season to be the year that we finally win a bowl game, but what's really important is the quality of players that want to come here, and this season, it's just not improving by much. However, after doing some more scouting, if we could land all these prospects, I'd be happy with it, including 77 overall Trent Pugh. He's a JUCO, so he already has great stats like 88 route running, and surely we'll beat Sacred Heart in our first game as we do by only 10. If Wesley's gonna play like this, it might be a long year, but I'm curious to see how we do on the road at Rutgers, and it hasn't been great as approaching the end of the third quarter, we're still down by 14, but at least we just got very lucky that this ball didn't get intercepted, and to stay in it, we're gonna need to pick up this 4th and 8, but there was no time back there. Dorian Wesley didn't even play that bad, but you know you're not a good team when you can't beat Rutgers, and since I'm gonna schedule everybody for a visit against Buffalo, I'm hoping we can bounce back by then. Before that matchup, we have these two games, and we're gonna go out and beat Northern Iowa, but we only won by 3 and they're an FCS school, so that result was expected. I don't know how we're ever gonna break away from being just an average team, because there's only so many players that can attend Harvard with our GPA requirement, but somebody's wide open in the end zone, and it's Jeff Bailey, the JUCO, that went up to a 78 overall. Our defense ended up being the story of the game as Buffalo was only able to get 7 points, and I love that we were finally able to dominate, but what I'd much rather do is take down number 6 Army on the road. After seeing that all of these players have already committed, I've decided that I'm going to play that one as well, and if we could win, it could change the course of our season. We weren't able to take them down in sim last year, but we have improved as a team, and on the goal line down here, I think we can just run in with Wesley. He's a big quarterback that can run the ball, which really helps us, and after going up by 14 early on, Army would never come close to keeping up with us as he's about to score again. From what I just saw, we need to run the ball with him even more, and I've already jumped into 3 games this season, so I can't really do much besides just sim to the end of the year. If there's any shocking results, I'll talk about them, but we're not going to take down Notre Dame this time, and going into this Old Dominion one, we're on a 3-game losing streak, so I'm glad we won. Well, record-wise, 7-5 is the best season we've ever had, and I know that we're still the worst independent school, but we have a quarterback that's starting to develop really nicely, and he rushed for 773 yards while Tommy Leach almost had 1,000. With a focus on the run game, obviously our receivers didn't do as hot, and I have to mention Caleb Singleton had 102 tackles and 6.5 sacks. Playing Air Force in our bowl is also perfect because we can get revenge for the loss that they gave us earlier in the season, and that sunlight is reflecting off of the snow really hard. It's very obvious that the shaders are messed up for the stadium as you can barely see a thing, but we are going to push through the struggle with the very bright lights and try to win our first bowl game ever, but that's an interception. Luckily, just like our last 2 bowl games, we have a chance to have a game-winning drive as we're only down by 3 points with a couple of minutes left, and Bell just broke multiple tackles. This one's going to go to the 15, so that puts us in a position where we can run down a ton of clock, and I know that the footage from this game is such an eyesore to look at right now. Luckily, this is the last clip you should have to see though, as we're going to try to take the lead, and Dorian Wesley just sealed our first bowl win in this rebuild. Harvard might have previous national championships in their history, but we're still a very long way away from getting one, and I'm just hoping that this season has set a new standard for the program. My only concern is we are having so many different starters graduate, and that includes starting running back Tommy Leach, who was really good in his final few seasons. We've also gotten to the point where the transfers that want to come in are terrible, and it's nice to see that Brian Moss ended up getting drafted, but our recruiting classes aren't getting any better as this one was 92nd in the country, and I'm thinking about redshirting these 2 JUCOs along with some of our best players, so 2 years from now we can be really good. I really want to do that, but most of our best seniors have already been redshirted, so we're just going to need the type of players interested in our school to really go up, and this season we have 3 4-stars on our board, so this might be some forward progress. Quarterback Josh Allen wasn't any good at his 60 overall bust, but I am finding a lot of other talent that is, and that includes JUCO Ray Turner at an 80 overall. This guy can play quarterback, so I'm really hoping we get him, and if we could go at least 8-5 again, I think we'd be sitting pretty. Even the rankings are saying we should be a top 50 team and that we could be in the top 30 within the next few years, and it's all because our offense is a 90 overall. If we could live up to the hype at Syracuse, that would be huge, but it'll all depend upon whose defense plays better, and since we've been held scoreless for 3.5 quarters, we might as well go for it on 4th and 6 where we're going to get it, and after staying in hurry up mode, I see that Jeff Bailey is wide open on the right side of the field, so we'll take that. This is our chance to come back. We just need to pick up this 3rd and 11, and the crosser is going to go to Perkins, who drops it. So like I said, defense is going to play a massive part in whoever wins this one, and we couldn't stop Syracuse's rushing attack, so we're going to start the season with a loss. It's not a bad one, but I wish we could have won, and I cannot believe one of the cornerbacks we were going after insta-committed to Central Michigan. It's a good thing that we have Sacred Heart on our schedule to bounce back, but when you have to face somebody like Penn Penn State afterwards, you know that a loss is coming. And I'm not sure why these military schools keep getting ranked so high, but you best believe I'm scheduling everybody for a visit against Navy. And if we could win this, a lot of those prospects will commit. I don't want to say this is the most important game in school history, but it kind of feels like it. And it stinks that early on we've already gone down 3-0, but we could hold Navy on this possession and then get the ball back and score, which we are gonna do. That was tight defense, and we have a 6'4" player at running back that I just remembered about. And down on the goal line, there is no way that they're gonna stop him 4 times. Approaching halftime, we still have a 1-point lead, but I'm hoping to score a touchdown on this drive. And I've rarely rolled out with Dorian Wesley, so I'm gonna do it here, try to make a play, and that is gonna be a perfect throw. As long as we can keep our 7-point lead, I'm gonna be happy, but they obviously know how to stop the option. So that was such a stupid play to run on them, but thankfully it might not cost us, because with a few minutes remaining, we still have the ball, and Daniel Horn ran right by that safety. This ball's floated up to him, and he mossed that corner. If this ball was placed better, he wouldn't have had to make a play on it, but he still caught it. And I hate that he has to graduate this year, but we need to somehow get a touchdown, and right up the middle is wide open. We are so close to pulling off the upset against Navy. They are number 7 in the country, and our defense is just clamping up. Somebody please make a tackle here. Oh my gosh. They got about 10 extra yards than they should have, but it is 4th and 3, and I'm surprised they're passing. That is it. For the second year in a row, even though it's a military school, we're going to take down a top 10 team, and it feels great, but did we just fumble the ball? Please pick it up. I cannot believe that we just gave them another chance. I'm challenging it, and we better get this ball back. I guess this is what you get when you play a wide receiver at running back, and I am so frustrated right now. We just cannot afford to give anything up. Please intercept this ball. Thank you, Davis. That is actually game now. We should have taken 3 quarterback kneels, but we didn't learn from Miami, and Dorian Wesley's just happy we got the win, because going into his senior year, he's going to have so many good new teammates. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with Ray Turner, but if John Hall is any good, we might have multiple options, and it stinks this guy's a JUCO junior. We did find a +11 Jim and Marcus Smith though at center, and if these next 2 weeks could go our way, we're going to be 4-2, which is now how our past 3 seasons have started. Our following 2 matchups are against these 2 schools though, and last year when we hopped into it, we destroyed Army, so we might be able to pick up another top 25 win, but they must have gotten better because this one hasn't even been close. It's 24-7, and on 4th and 1, they're not going to get it, but their defense has been clamping us up all day, and it's embarrassing that we're losing by this much. Here on 3rd and 18, it feels like if we don't convert on this, the game's going to be pretty much over, and Bailey will get stopped short, so it all comes down to one final play where I'm going to roll out with Wesley, and I see Jeff Bailey again streaking down the field. This is a huge play for us, the biggest of the game, and he spun out of there, which is going to get us all the way to the end zone. Do not count us out of this game until it is over. We just have to continue to stop the run. Come on, guys. We know exactly what is coming, and we got into that hole, so I have a small amount of faith now. With the play action, they're going to immediately get a rusher in, though, and that was terrifying. I might as well just throw it up before they can get more pressure in. That is going to go to Bailey for another big gain. He is going to shed the tackle, and this might be the best wide receiver we have ever had in our school history. That is a 97-yard touchdown to get it back within 4, and we have 2 timeouts, so we can still get the ball back. We know exactly what is coming. We just got to stop the run. Come on. And on 2nd and 8, they're going with another handoff. They're breaking a tackle, but we got in that hole, so it's 3rd down, and did they really just pass the ball? This is exactly why you never give up, and there's exactly a minute left in this game. I'm going to roll out and throw it to Horn, but we have a guy underneath, so I'm going to lateral it back to him, and that was a bad decision. Please bounce on it. Now, before you think I'm dumb, hear me out. If we could have gotten this lateral successfully off to that player, it would have gone for at least another 20 yards, but instead, it just wasted a ton of time off the clock, and I'm going deep. I have to go deep. It is going to work. Steve Perkins just made the catch of his career, and if Army is able to beat us through the air to win this game, I would want to cry. We just got to knock this ball down. Thank you. They might be military schools, but we've beaten another top 25 team, and I wish there were better players that we could go after on our board because we are almost done with recruiting already, so we can check if anyone else is in our top 10, but I don't think anyone will be. And what is Kenny Richardson doing here? We almost have no chance of getting to him, but I might as well add all of these new players to our board, and that was really disappointing because we are far behind on Sidney Humphrey, and the only good one we really found was Victor Lee at a +8. I don't know what else we can do to get better options with our recruits, but Notre Dame's going to lose by 9 to us, and at 6-2, I'm expecting for us to be inside the top 25, which we are at number 17. If we could win these final 4 games, we would make the 12-team playoffs, but I can't jump into any more, so we just have to advance to week 14, and that's a good start. I did not think this would be possible this season, but we're so close as we beat Eastern Michigan, and there's no way that we lose on the road at New Mexico. They're terrible. Come on, boys. It all comes down to us versus an FCS school, and Northern Iowa didn't stand a chance. So Harvard has officially made the college football playoffs, and how are we a 5 seed? I guess our loss to Syracuse ended up being really good, and we have 3 top 10 wins, but I just realized that all these conference championship games still have to be played, and that means our seeding could have gone up even more. It's time for the moment of truth where we are going to be the 4. Dorian Wesley has a first round bye in the playoffs, and he didn't rush for as many yards this year, but he was still fantastic. Also, Daniel Horn was our first 1,000-yard receiver, and I thought Caleb Singleton would be the head of the defense again, but it was Lenny Young who won the Lombardi Trophy. Our kicker Sean Humphrey even won the Lou Groza Award for the best kicker in the country, and we might not be anywhere near having a 4,000-yard passer, but we have made the playoffs, knocking off our second challenge of the video. It's unbelievable that we were able to get this far this season, but our quarterfinal matchup's going to come against one of these 2 SEC schools, and I think it's going to be 8-4 Ole Miss unless Florida can score on the last play of the game, which would be much better for us, and that is it. If we're ever going to win a playoff game, now's probably our best chance, and it's just unbelievable that we're actually in this moment. But before we see how that game goes, a word from today's video sponsor, Prize Picks. If you somehow still don't know what Prize Picks is, you simply pick higher or lower on player projections, and this week I think Carson Beck will sling it against Florida because he's gone over in 4 of his last 5 matches, while also trusting Ohio State's defense versus Braylon Allen. If you add more players, you can win up to 25 times your money, but I'm sticking with these 2 and putting in 25 to hopefully win 75. I can also get you a deposit match up to $100 on Prize Picks, so use code BOARD when you sign up and they'll match it up to $100, assuming you reside in one of the 31 states they're available in, and it's time to take on Ole Miss. I thought this was at least another 2 to 3 seasons away, but we've taken care of business when we've needed to the most, and on this 3rd and 7, Carroll is going to get it plus a lot more. That is a wide receiver at running back, and it was such a good decision to put the 6'4 stud there. I'm going to have to go back to him on the sideline for another 15 because I really want to score a touchdown on our first drive, and Wesley's going to roll out here. No one's open. He's thrown it off his back foot though, and this was put right on Steve Perkins' chest. That was painful. We're mixing it up with a little bit of wildcat though, and the throw is going to be into an interception. So that was the worst trick play of all time, and it's just a good thing that our defense has had such a fantastic game so far, getting stop after stop. What I'm noticing is points are very hard to come by, and we had a chance to get some, but we screwed it up by dropping the ball and then going for a little bit of trickery, so I'm just going to throw this one up hoping for the best to avoid the sack, and that counts as an arm punt. The issue is Ole Miss would go on to score from there, and their defensive line's been getting in on us all day, but I have the deep post. Thank you, Bailey, holding on, and if it was a stronger throw, we might have gone all the way, but I'm just thankful that we avoided getting held again there, and as long as we take care of business to end the half, it should be all tied up at 7. Jeff Bailey's going to go down in the end zone, so what an ending to the half from him, and I can't believe I almost redshirted all our best players this season. None of this would have been possible, and because we've seen him do it in the past, I wanted to give one chance to Jeff Bailey to get us in field goal range as he's going to catch it, and that is exactly why I burned a timeout, because now we're up 10-7. What a spectacular ending to that second quarter, and since points have been so hard to come by, now I would love to burn through as much clock as we can while running it down their throats. All of their focus has to be on Jeff Bailey right now, so we should be able to do well, but what was that pitch? You've got to be joking. I mean, it could not have been more inaccurate or delayed, but it led to Ole Miss going up 14-10, and now we have to respond back. There is one player I trust in this situation, and that is Jeff Bailey, but he's not open, and what an inaccurate throw. That was supposed to go to Horn on the slant. Please tell me that this ball somehow got tipped or something, because that was so off target, and now Ole Miss is just a couple of first downs away from beating us. Luckily, we got the 3rd down stop, but I need Wesley to step up now and actually throw this one on target, and thankfully he does. It is crazy that we could actually win a playoff game as Harvard, but we just need to make sure we take care of business, and that's another inaccurate throw. I really do not trust him to sling it right now, but we have no choice. The pressure is getting in so quick, and on 4th and 10, I'm going to go with a curl route to Bailey, who is going to hold on to the ball. No way. Did he just run backwards out of bounds? I am going to need an explanation to why the game forced that to happen. I don't think it wants to see us win, and I was not expecting the pass I ran commit to try to stop the run. Come on. We are in a ton of trouble. Where is our defense right now? And I'm so sad because so much hasn't gone our way. We need a miracle, but it isn't happening, and this is the last time all of our amazing seniors are going to see the field unless Jeff Bailey does something amazing. I'm very proud of the effort we made to get to this point, but it makes me sick we missed out on the championship where Army won it all. I know we're still moving in the right direction as a program, but now we're losing multiple players to the transfer portal, and Dorian Wesley's gone. When I sort it this way, you're going to see how many starters that we are losing, and if he was going to get drafted in the 6th, Dorian Wesley should have just stayed. I guess that's going to give us almost no choice to start Ray Turner as a JUCO junior immediately, but I do have some good news as we finally finished with a top 30 class, and all it took was getting a couple of 4 stars. That means we've completed the 3rd challenge of the video, and let's see what overall Ray Turner is at quarterback. It looks like he's going to be a 79, and we'll take it. Eric Page also becomes a 75 overall corner, which we need, and I hate to lose a linebacker in Alex Landry, but he is a much better edge rusher. The last stage of the offseason, though, is going to be our player progression, and it's time for the moment of truth where a +8 on John Everett is is a great start. Now, it looks like redshirting Trent Pugh was almost pointless, but I'm not too worried about it because this year, players with super high GPAs that are also good should be interested in coming here, and there are a couple of smart 5-stars. We're going to need to earn our place as a higher tier team though, as this schedule is not looking easy, and I cannot believe as an 81 overall team, we're projected to be the 12th best. I'm just hoping we're able to snag a couple of these high overall recruits, and I think we have a chance at all of these guys besides the one at the top, Blake Kramer, who Ohio State already got. If we're going to have a successful season, we cannot lose to teams like Air Force, and Ray Turner had a tough time throwing the ball in his debut, but I don't care because he rushed for 180 yards. With 89 speed, he was an athlete for a reason, but look at who's next on the schedule for us. Ole Miss called and they wanted a rematch of this game, so we've traveled to play them, but our receiving options aren't as good this year, so it's been a lot tougher for Ray Turner to get anything done approaching halftime. The only guy he can really lean on is Steve Perkins, and he has been one of the players in the past that's had issues with dropping the ball, so we've had to lean a little bit on tight end Chris Woods, and that was a beautiful corner route from him. The refs are going to see if he got a foot in though, and I don't know why they're even challenging it. We're in a decent position to start the second half since we got ball, and look at Ray Turner go. Off of the read option, he's going to break free, and I hope he's not going to get caught here, but it looks like he is. I mean, it was still a great run from him, but now we have to work on getting it into the end zone, and we have a tough schedule ahead, so this is a must-win game where we have to get some stops. Another 3rd and 7 here, and they just went with the halfback draw, so I'm very happy with holding Ole Miss to 3, and it looks like we have another wide receiver in the backfield, so I'm just going to keep it with Ray Turner for a big run. Here on 2nd and 2, a little bit of play action never hurt. It's going to be a 50-50 ball to Steve Perkins, and that was a dumb decision because it led to an Ole Miss touchdown, and we really need something to go our way here on 3rd and 4. Ray Turner somehow got out of the pocket, and I don't know what he was doing. He probably should have just thrown the ball away, but the risk has paid off, and down here in the red zone, he's about to get sacked. So it looks like our backup is in the game, and I feel like that's a little bit concerning, but former wide receiver Brennan Nunez is going to take the halfback toss and not get anywhere. We might as well go ahead and sub Ray Turner in, because if we're going to get down this far, we should go for it on 4th and goal, and I'm just going to let his legs go to work. He's getting kept up with though, and that was dumb. Ole Miss has had our number in this dynasty, but Ray Turner was able to run for 100 yards again, and we have to beat Army to keep our playoff hopes alive. They're coming off a national championship win though, so I understand that it's not going to be easy, as it looks like they're about to go up at least 17-0, which is just a nightmare for us. Come on, please don't let them get the first here. This first half has not gone the way that we wanted it to, and I don't really want to go for it on 4th and 2 with Ray Turner, but I feel like we don't have a choice, and our tight end's going to hold on. They're sending another blitz at him, so he's just going to take it to Perkins for the touchdown, and after getting an interception, we could end the half with more points. I'm going to throw up a 50-50 ball just to hopefully get lucky, and it's going to be intercepted instead. That is wonderful. I do believe it hit the ground though, so I'm going to challenge it, and from this camera angle, it's hard to tell if it hit or not, but when I go into instant replay, you'll see that it clearly just sits there on the ground, and them getting possession there led to another touchdown, so now we're down 28-7 with all hope pretty much lost unless Ray Turner can make a play for us here, and that's what he's going to do. Since we can't stop the run though, Army has been able to run down the entire 4th quarter, and not being able to win either of the games I hopped into is not a good indication for how the season will go. I think I'll just schedule everybody for a visit against Boston College and hope that Sim is on our side in this matchup, which it was not at all. I cannot believe we lost 45-0, and I also can't believe that these 5 players committed even with that result. I feel like it's safe to say that this season is pretty much over, because we even lost to the Citadel, and Notre Dame has our number this year. I'm honestly not too sure why 5-stars like Jake Inman even committed, but at 2-5, we really can't be saved, especially after that loss to an FCS school, and I'm honestly ready to just get into next year because I'm so disappointed with this team. By the end of the season, we're 4-8, so I'm not happy about it, but thankfully I can't be fired after all I've done for this team, and I just hate the fact that we regressed pretty hard as a program. Ray Turner wasn't the best as he turned it over 16 times, and he rushed for almost 700 yards, but that's just not enough. His struggles were the reason that our receivers didn't put up good numbers, but at least it looks like we're not losing much talent besides John Everett, and since he's a junior, I'm going to convince him to stay. As for off-season recruiting, there's only one more player we need, and now that we're actually good at football, we can get the best players with the highest GPAs in the country. They all want to come here to play for a good team and get a very highly touted degree, so I'm hoping we're able to bounce back from our regression, as this 5-star is going to be a 78 overall defensive tackle, and Darnell Workman is going to make for an amazing cornerback. Everybody also seemed to have a good offseason, which is good news, but with a schedule that ends the year like this, I have no idea what to expect. Now for recruiting, I am a little nervous because we had a down year last year, and it looks like there's only 1 5-star and 2 4-stars up here, so after scouting everybody, I can confidently say it is a very top-heavy group of guys, and I probably won't even go after the players on the bottom, which could come back to bite us because we are losing 15 seniors. I am a little concerned that we're projected to be the 75th best team in the country, but since we're an 88 overall team, I think that'll change quickly. In our first game against Buffalo, there's no reason we shouldn't win by a lot, and the same goes for against Air Force, as we're going to go out and win by 19. With most of these battles looking like they're going to be tough, I need to schedule a visit week, and I think a good one for us would be against Rutgers. So now we have to get to that game, and we are going to go out and lose to Boston College. That is not what you want to see out of this team. Against Marshall, at least we're going to bounce back, but I truthfully believe that this team is good enough to make the playoffs, and I want to jump into games later in the year, so I had to sim this one. We barely took down a winless Rutgers, but at least our injury report is pretty much empty, so I should be able to trust this team to get to the Notre Dame game at 5-1, and since we're starting to have success again, a lot of different players have already committed to the program. We've played the Irish about every year though, so it's about time I finally jump into one, and Notre Dame has already scored a touchdown, so this one might turn into a shootout if we're gonna win. The Irish have already lost 3 matchups, so their playoff hopes are on the line if they're not able to beat us, and come on, just make the tackle, Paige. What are you doing? We gave up a touchdown so quick, but it looks like Notre Dame's about to do the same, and at this point, I'd just be happy if we're able to hold them to a field goal on this wide receiver screen. We're gonna not make the tackle on 3rd down though, and nobody has been stopped on offense yet, so I don't plan on being the first team to have that happen. After this hit though, I'm not sure if Trent Pugh is going to be healthy for the rest of the game, and I cannot believe he is out there on the field right now, but I might as well feed it to him, and he is not going to make it to the end zone. Ray Turner should easily take it in though, and could this be the first defensive stop of the game? It is 3rd and 10, and we're going to hit him short, but they are not content with that. They're not taking a field goal, and of course Brown just got toasted. That would lead to another touchdown, so I'm hoping we can end the first half tying it up at 28, and we can, but this shootout is crazy, and if we're going to win this one, we might need to slow down the pace of the game. Since neither defense has gotten a stop yet though, I feel like we have to go for it on 4th and 5, and thankfully we got it, but now we're on a 3rd and 13, and I'm going to float this one up to our former wide receiver at halfback, but he drops it. I do not like that we are being forced to settle for 3 on this drive, but we're just going to have to trust our defense and hope that we can get a stop, but we're not going to do that. Instead, Downing's going to toast Page for the 2nd time today, going down to the 5, and Notre Dame's offense has 5 touchdowns on 5 drives right now, so I'm a bit worried. If we keep playing like this, it's hard to even consider us a real playoff contender, and we just need to hold them on this 3rd and 2 where Ward is not able to make the tackle, but Brown does. I'm shocked that they're punting on 4th and inches, but now it's time for us to make sure that this is the final possession of the entire game. We're just going to need to have a little bit of success with the option run on 3rd down, and Ray Turner has the speed to get to the outside, thank goodness. We've played almost a perfect offensive game, and it's still this close with 2 minutes left, and we just need one more 3rd down. I'm going to take the hitch. That is going to not be caught, so I don't know what to do. Going for it might be stupid, but we have struggled to stop Notre Dame's offense, and I see somebody deep, but I can't outrun the edge, so the aggressive decision to go for it is probably going to come back to bite us, and we might need to let Notre Dame just get into the end zone so we can score a touchdown. I did not want them to have a chance to run down the clock before they ended up finding the end zone later on, so I'm going to feel really stupid if we're not able to score, but I have a feeling that we're going to be able to, and this is going to be a tight window to Trent Pugh, but he comes away with it. This has been a Ray Turner masterclass, and nobody's open on the man coverage on the left side of the field, so Ray Turner's just going to have to take off here, and I wasn't expecting 15. Now on this 1st and 10, they're running press man-to-man coverage, and we have somebody on the deep post. We just got to make the aggressive catch, and it's a shame that that football was so far underthrown. I swear, this result will determine how the rest of our season goes. We need to pull away, and this is going to be tackled in bounds or not. Nunez spun out of it, and that's a massive play. I guess we still have 3 timeouts remaining, so it's not that big of a deal, but I didn't want to have to burn one of them yet, and I feel like Notre Dame's not going to be expecting the run here since we've passed for so many of them, which is going to get us to the 10. This one has really come down to the wire, and in man-to-man coverage, I'm not seeing anything open but our flat. I shouldn't have thrown that, because now we have to burn a timeout, and there's only 18 seconds remaining on this hitch. We're going to take it to Scott. That was dumb, because we can no longer go down in bounds, so on this 3rd and goal, I'm going to have to be extremely careful, and with Ray Turner, we are going to scramble in. That was the hardest game of this rebuild so far, and I can't believe with that result, we're only ranked 43rd, but I don't care, because that makes me believe that we can beat almost anybody, and that's if our defense is able to step up, because our offense is already really good. Going into these final few weeks, we have to play the number 1 and number 3 team, and it's kind of crazy that we're 8-1, but we're still not even receiving votes. If we don't beat one of these top 3 teams, we're not making the playoffs, and obviously our better chance is going to be against Army, so I'm just hoping for the best, and it looks like we're going to start off with a field goal. I'm not sure how Army is sitting at 8-0, because from what I've seen so far, they're not great, especially offensively, but we're going to dive into the end zone, and we're very fortunate that Ray Turner did not get hurt on this play. When you know the run's probably coming, it's not difficult to stop them, but approaching halftime, they finally scored, and we only have 10 points, so we're trying to make the most of this drive, and Ray Turner's going to fight his way in. That is exactly what we needed, and now we're going to pass for a touchdown, so even though Army has tried to hang around, I don't think they're going to find much success against us, and we just took down the number 1 team on the road. Ray Turner had a fantastic game as well, but he still isn't even mentioned in the Heisman race, and I guess I shouldn't complain, because it's a good thing that we're finally ranked. Losing Losing to Eastern Michigan now though could ruin everything, and thankfully we beat them by 21. And USC must have had a really bad loss because we've leapfrogged them in the polls, and they've played Grambling State 3 times while losing to Stanford by 5. With that in mind, I have confidence going into this game, but the only issue is it's at the Coliseum, and this game's definitely for a spot in the playoffs, so we need to go out and win it, and that should have been picked. I do think that we're going to have to play this one very aggressive, so I'll be going for it on all 4th downs, and on 4th and 6 we missed the throw, so I'm not happy with Ray Turner because the Trojans would go on to score a touchdown, but at least we should have gotten a big gain there. He is choking so hard as his wide receiver had a 5-yard lead on the cornerback, but there's still plenty of time left, so there's no reason to get upset now, except we'd end the first quarter giving up an 81-yard touchdown, and this USC defense has just been tough. I think I'm going to scramble around and try to set my feet again, but we have no choice but to run it. Ray Turner somehow is going to pick up the first from there though, and with 3 minutes left in the second quarter, the seam looks open up the middle, so we're going to go to James, but it took a while to get into the end zone, and I do not like having to rely on our defense. At least we're going to get a sack, but man, this one's been tough so far, and I'm looking over on Trent Pugh's side. He is going to run right by that cornerback to where I guess he's going to take it to the house for 6. That is a relief for us. On 3rd and 4, USC is going to try to look underneath of the slant, but we are starting to clamp up, and with momentum swinging in our way, we really need to end this first half with another touchdown. Ray Turner's going to see the wide receiver a little bit late, but he still got the throw far enough, and there we go. Steve Perkins has been around forever, but he ran straight really well, and I'm so proud of this team, but now I'm worried that they're going to try to score points before the half, but with that hit, we've held them to just 14, and to start the third quarter, we actually have ball, but I hesitated on a read, and that was not the right move. I was so afraid of throwing a pick that all the momentum's going to go right back into the Trojans' direction, but we might be able to hold them to 3, and we went into the wrong hole. This USC defense has really come alive, and they sent pressure from so many different directions. I'm just lucky we didn't lose a lot of yards, and you know what? I see 46 over on that side. He bit down once early on, so we're going to target him again. It feels right to pick on one of their cornerbacks, and I have to escape the pocket here, but whoa, someone's wide open deep. That might have been a little bit too late. Thankfully, we catch it, and if that missed extra point comes back to bite us, I am going to be so salty. On 3rd and 15, they're going to go deep though, and how did Birch burn us? This is a big decision from the Trojans to go for it on 4th and 1. Come on, someone make a tackle. And I swear, if we get another chance at a deep shot, I'm just going to have to take it. That is our fastest wide receiver getting over to the ball, and I am so thankful for Steve Perkins. He stayed around for a long time developing, and now we're scoring again. That could be the perfect ending to the third quarter if we're able to get the 2-point conversion as well. And now the Trojans are in a bit of trouble. It felt like we were the ones struggling, but they're on a 3rd and 15 where that was just the worst play ever. And passing's all that's worked for us, but I am going to try to run the ball a bit, which was not the right move, so we're going to go back to passing, and I'm just going to try to hit Perkins again deep, but it is underthrown instead. In trying to get our quarterback into the Heisman race, I've been going for a lot of deep shots, and USC has moved it back down the field, trying to get it back within 7, but we could end all hope that they have by not letting them pick up this 4th and 5, and someone please make a tackle. That should be enough for us to make the college football playoffs, but some teams need to lose because we've only moved up to number 17, and all I can do is advance to the end of the year. Going into conference championship week, we are at number 15, and that's so frustrating because we beat Army, who has 2 losses and is ranked above us. As you can see, none of our players could get in the Heisman race, and I feel like leaving us out is just so disrespectful. Ray Turner literally led the country in passing yards, and he's the best quarterback that's ever come through Harvard because he was also able to lead this team in rushing as well, and he made sure that all 3 of these seniors had a great final year. I'm so frustrated that I'm just going to sim our bowl game against Arizona State where we win by 14, and it's been a crazy 10 years, but we did make the playoffs while going 12-1. Now we're losing some of the best players to ever come through the program and a lot of other guys to graduation, but what makes matters worse is 2 of our best freshmen are transferring away as well, and the only positive takeaway I have is Missouri's current head coach is now our offensive coordinator. We also were able to get every single player that we wanted in recruiting, but since that class wasn't very big, it's ranked at 56, and I'm very glad that we redshirted quarterback Brad Sykes. Assuming he has a good offseason, he's going to have to be our starter, and I see that Alex Landry shot up to a 91, but our quarterback's not on this first list, so I'm just going to keep scrolling until I find him at an 83. These stats aren't bad, but they're also not great, and I think it's time that we take a lot of these skill points and put them over into game management. I want to make sure that this season is as successful as possible, because since we have a good offensive coordinator paired with a weak schedule, I think we can do anything. After last year, I'm just shooting for being undefeated instead of losing 1 or 2 games, and there's still good players interested in coming here, so I think it's just best if we start focusing on our product on the field instead of in recruiting. As an 84 overall team, we've definitely regressed, but even without many skill points in the recruiting category, we should still get everybody that we want, so it's time to see if having high overall coaches can carry us, and we are dominating against Air Force, so if our offense can really be that good, maybe it actually does help. And don't tell me that we're going to lose to the Citadel. I remember when it happened a couple years ago, but 3 games in, I have nothing bad I can say about Brad Sykes. He's playing so well that we're we're up to the number 6 team in the country, and of course we have to play an undefeated Army. It's kinda crazy that we have the best 2 offenses in the country, but I feel like this entire video has been us versus them, and I still can't believe they were able to win a national championship. If we're gonna get one like them, ours is probably still at least a few years out, because even though Brad Sykes has been almost perfect so far, he just missed a really easy throw, and he doesn't have the legs to scramble very fast. I'm not sure this team has what it takes to make the playoffs, let alone win it all. That is a tight window though, and with 2 minutes left in the second half, we're rolling until this interception. I understand I probably should have run the ball in that situation, but this entire season's going to be about Brad Sykes, and everything is going to be in his hands, so whether we win or lose is all on him. With a couple minutes left in the game, Army's looking to take the lead, but if we can stop them on this 3rd and 6, they're going to have to kick a field goal, and I don't know what they were doing on that play, but I'm not going to question it. Now you'll see that they are pressing David Fry over on the left-hand side, so I'm going to try to go deep to him. He is a redshirt senior, he's been around forever, and he's going to come up clutch for us going down to the 15. When you have somebody that's that reliable, you just have to lean on them in the clutch, and this time I'm not going to make the mistake of trying to throw the ball on the goal line. We're either going to run it in or kick the field goal for the win, and with that run, Andre Shelton was able to seal it. Based on how we've been playing, I'm not even worried that we're going to blow this one against Sacred Heart, and I guess everybody else is struggling because we're the number 1 team in the country. It's kind of funny how we have respect now and Brad Sykes is in the Heisman race, but what's crazy is he's already jumped 2 overalls because of how well he's playing, and Notre Dame is actually having a down year, so it's time to really test how good we are as an 84 overall team, and we dominated. Sykes threw 3 interceptions, but we still won by almost double the score, and I think it's best if everyone comes on a visit versus number 14 Stanford. Going into this one, they ended up losing their first game, so now they're 21st in the country, but it would still be a good win, and I'm just having a hard time accepting that we are actually good this season. I was expecting the worst, but Sykes is going to make a play with his 67 speed, and I can't believe that this guy has been on our bench for like 4 seasons, and we're just now starting to play him. Approaching halftime, we have a 3rd and goal that I would love to pick up with Shelton, who has enough speed to get to the outside, and I really can't tell if we are just that good or Stanford is just that bad. We ended up winning by a lot, so I was just surprised, and their first 6 games of the year must have been the easiest ones in the world. It's also nice to see that even without many points in recruiting, we're still doing pretty well, but I will admit that I am struggling to get a few of the big names, and I just have to hope that all those points in game management continue to pay off. Our remaining 4 games shouldn't be too bad besides undefeated Navy, and they're probably gunning for the number 1 spot if they're able to take us down. It still doesn't feel right that we're sitting there or the fact that Brad Sykes is leading the Heisman race, but if we keep playing this well, we're going to make the playoffs with a bye, and hopefully Navy doesn't get the best of us. It just seems like this level of play has to slow down at some point since our overall isn't very high, and our defense has been a sneaky part of how good we are as they always seem to manage to hold the opposing team. Now Navy was able to get it within a possession, but I'm just going to go back to David Fry to go up by 14, and the ref is challenging if he was down or not, but it's kind of hard to tell from this camera angle. They took away our touchdown, so we have to get it back, and I'm not concerned about Navy throwing the ball for big first downs, but what is our defense doing? They've done so well all day, and now it's almost like they want to give Navy a slight chance, but I'm expecting that we're going to hold on anyways. Here on 3rd and goal, we're getting pressure in, and their quarterback just throws it away, so we can officially seal it by holding them on the goal line, and we can't. I hate that they even have a chance, but we are going to recover the onside kick, and this result makes us 9-0. Brad Sykes honestly didn't have a great game, but as long as we take care of business in these last 3, we're going to go into the playoffs with the 1 seed, and now that we have this much momentum built up, I just don't see us losing. This is Iowa's chance to get back at me for all the jokes I make about their offense, but they only put up 14, and it's time to see if Brad Sykes won the Heisman, which he actually didn't. That kind of surprises me, but I won AP Coach of the Year, and considering he led the country in passing yards while also throwing for 42 touchdowns, I just don't get it. You could even add in the fact that he rushed for another 500 yards and 8 touchdowns, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and look at David Fry winning the Biletnikoff. He returned kicks for us for his first 3 seasons here, and then he suddenly jumped to a top 10 wide receiver in the country. But the most important thing to me is we're going into the playoffs as the only undefeated team, and I'm still not sure how much confidence I have in us. The good news is we knocked off another challenge by having a Heisman finalist, and I think we're going to cross 4,000 passing yards against one of these 2 teams. From what I just saw though, USC is looking extra scary as they destroyed UCF, and I'm not looking forward to this matchup. We somehow have both the number 1 offense and number 1 defense though, so we have had a really good year, and I don't know why I can't register that in my brain. Because I was expecting us to go like 8-4, I can't fathom the idea that we're the number 1 team, but Brad Sykes has gotten us in this position, and we are about to move down to the 10-yard line on USC. We have so much momentum swinging in our favor that taking care of business is all going to be on me, as that's a dot, and everybody is playing so well so far. It is 3rd down, and we are just going to get the sack. We are literally flying down the field as Brad Sykes is just going to keep threading the needle, and our air raid attack has been so hard for teams to stop. On this 3rd and 5, they're just going to go with the wide receiver receiver screen and we hold him again. And even though our defense would eventually give up 20 points, our offense has been so good that it's not even going to matter. Fry goes to the 5, and we have been perfect in the red zone so far. We should probably start to try to chew the clock, except we're going to score a touchdown instead. USC has tried so hard to keep up with us, but they just can't do it. On this 4th and 3, we are going to make another tackle stopping them, and from there, we were obviously able to seal it. Brad Sykes definitely deserved player of the game, and either of these teams are going to be a tough semifinal opponent. It looks like we're going to get Oregon though, and they won a tough battle in the rain. I also just realized Harvard's logo is Western Michigan, so ignore that. And this semifinal matchup's in Hard Rock Stadium. We got the ball first, and we've shown no signs of getting stopped as we have glided right down the field. So as long as we punch it in here, I'm going to be very happy. But since we're an underdog on paper, we have a lot of work cut out for us still, and there's no way they're getting that throw out. That was Alex Landry who got the sack, who used to be a linebacker, and when I moved him to left end, I said he was going to be a good pass rusher, which is exactly what he's done for us. Now we're moving down the field again, and Oregon's defense is going to need to show a bit of resistance if they're going to stop us. It hasn't taken us very long to go up 14-0, and on this 3rd and short, I'm hoping we're able to hold them. Those were 2 huge blocks though, and nobody's going to come close to catching them. I'm really hoping this game doesn't turn into a shootout, because that just means we have to continue to have success, and I see a wide open Robertson in the back of the end zone, but once again, Oregon has worked it down the field on us, and we got to stop the run. They're not even attempting the field goal, as they know that would be no good for them. On 4th down, we get the sack, and that call alone tells you all that you need to know about how much Oregon fears our offense. Now we're throwing it up to the freshman, Jim Butler, and he is run by number 36 to get inside the Oregon red zone. So we are setting ourselves up to end the first half up 28-7, and I'm really starting to believe in this team's abilities. With the option run, we are not going to get all the way there, but we're able to make sure that Oregon doesn't get the ball back at all to end the half, and that was a bit too much time off the clock. I hate to take 3 here, but I want to go up by 3 possessions, and I'm very happy with how that first half just went. We did get ball to start the game though, so Oregon will get it to open up the 3rd quarter, and because I went away from my zone, they're going to easily pick up the first down. Can somebody tackle Buck Wheeler? He single-handedly just took 3 guys on at once, but now on this 3rd down, they're going to drop the ball, and Oregon cannot be happy with only getting a field goal out of that. We're in a position where we could take full control of this game, and once again, they pressed Robertson. I don't know why, but you'd think that eventually they'd figure out how to stop our passing attack, and that corner route from Jim Butler was insane. I know he's only a freshman, but he has not played like it during this game, and David Fry just put us up by 21, so it's looking more and more likely that we're going to make the national championship game, and our defense is all over that. I respect the Ducks for trying, but they just weren't able to keep up with our offense in the end, and I'm very okay with that. We just broke that guy's ankles, and it's been a while since I have seen an ankle breaker this bad, but it took him a long time to recover from it, and that's how you end a game in style. No matter who wins this though, our national championship opponent won't be easy, and Michigan just destroyed Alabama, so I am a little bit scared. They made the Crimson Tide look like nothing, and they're a 97 overall versus our 84. I do have to note that Sykes is well over 4,000 passing yards though, so that means we've completed every challenge besides winning a championship going into this game, and it's probably been like 100 years since Harvard's played in a championship. The important thing is they're back though, and it's against Michigan, so we know that it's going to be a very tough battle as they're scoring first. Our team has gone undefeated though, and they've already sent out man-to-man coverage, which means we're going to go over the top to Jim Butler, the freshman, and with that being his first throw of the day, Sykes is already getting into a little bit of a rhythm. I really wasn't expecting Brad to complete the pass, but we are moving down the field fast, and a perfect 4-for-4 drive is exactly how you want to respond back. 3rd and 8 for Michigan now, and Landry's going to immediately get the sack, and it is remarkable how explosive he was on this play. In real life, they'd probably throw the flag for roughing the passer, not because it was, but because everybody's so soft. And how on earth did Ricky Scott bring this ball in on 3rd down? I'm pretty sure we recruited that guy as like a 62 overall fullback, and now he's starting for us at tight end, and I am just going to roll out and find him again if he's able to get open on this play. I don't know why Brad Sykes is so good, but I'm very confident in this passing attack, and that is a bad mistake to take. Come on, an offensive lineman's going to have to catch this guy. Thank you. We were in such a rhythm until that throw, and I can guarantee that that was an extremely eye-opening play. At least we should get a stop on 3rd down, and how did he get by us? I am no longer feeling as well about this game as they just keep threading the needle, and on 2nd and goal, I was expecting the run up the middle, so we blew it up, but that means that we need to get the 3rd and goal stop, and that was terrible. It is wild that we were about to take full control of the game, and now we're trailing. I just have to throw up a prayer, and it was answered. David Fry might want this championship more than anyone else, and all of our receivers have had such good seasons. I don't see anything open here, though. We're going to take the sack. Of course it's dropped. Please pick this up with the lineman, and he is just running backwards. Okay, what are we doing with him? How is he moving this way? What happened? I don't even understand how a lineman could possibly pull this off, but that play hurt my brain, and it hurts my soul because there's no way we reach the end zone, or maybe we do. That was such a good throw and catch that it pretty much left me speechless. speechless, and I want to end the first half with the ball, so we have to stop Michigan on 3rd and 5, which is exactly what we just did. This is our chance to shine, and we are immediately going to go over to Robertson, and we're about to find out if our tight end is going to be fast enough to run by this linebacker. I have thrown it up to Ricky Scott, and he is not only going to catch it, but he sheds the tackle, and he's taking it into the house. We're even able to get one final shot at the end zone after getting a stop, and what just happened on that left-hand side of the field? Why is Butler so open? This is amazing. I don't understand what 32 is doing defensively here, but he just ran forward, and I don't understand at all. He got confused, but it left us wide open, and we just had the best turnaround ever on all of those touchdowns, but we still need to keep getting stops. This game is far from over, and on 3rd and goal, they are going to actually get to the 1, so it all comes down to this play, and why are they passing? We're going to lock it up. Besides that early interception, we've had so many things go right for us in this game, and we literally might have another touchdown on this play because they have pressed us, and you all know that we're going to go to Jim Butler. He is just faster. He is like 95 speed as a freshman, and that's 35 points. What's so crazy to me is if Michigan's defense had good play calling, we'd probably only have like 10 points, but instead we've actually taken control of the game at this point, and we're about to score even more. One more touchdown would definitely seal it, and with the flat wide open, this one's going to go to Robertson, who's going to try to dive in, but he gave himself up instead, and that means the run's going to come from Sykes. I think this is the longest rebuild's ever taken on the channel, but we weren't even expecting Brad Sykes to actually be good, and it's a surprise that we have won it, but I am very happy with it. I really want to figure out how to find the momentum stat in NCAA football, because we know it exists, but we just don't know where it's at, and I'm also a bit shocked that we were able to complete all 6 of these challenges, but somehow with a team that only had 4 NFL players on it, we won it all. Shout out to Brad Sykes for having an amazing senior year, and if you enjoyed this rebuild, I have so many others that you can enjoy by clicking on this playlist right here.